Same as usual, working at your own pace, making sure that nothing is causing pain or discomfort, as in joint pain, muscular discomfort, entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little stretch, stop and stretch, stop and rest, and then join in again when you're ready to do so. Usual props, a band, strap, a belt, something that you can use to guide and assist with the legs, and then ball if you got one, or a cushion, a pillow, if I don't have a ball. Same as usual, if you're seated, try to sit as straight, as tall as possible. So encouraging the rib cage to lift away from the belly, making sure that I'm not compressing the abdominal content, making it harder for the diaphragm to be able to expand. So see if I can really try to create space so that the diaphragm, the big breathing muscles, is able to move freely up and down, encouraging that nice relax the belly breath. If you're laying down, take advantage of the mat, allowing yourself to relax completely onto the mat. And then see if you can just be aware of the belly raising with the inhalation, falling with the exhalation. So see if we can try and calm down the breath, calm down the nervous system using the breath. And then at the same time, we're running the usual scan over the body. So if I'm seated, try to feel the pressure under the seat bones. Does it feel even? Does it feel as if I'm putting more weight on one side than the other? Am I straight? Am I slightly turned? If you're laying down, feel the pressure at the back of the hips, at the back of the shoulder. Feel the position of the head, the position of the legs and the arms. We're not trying to change anything, just noticing where everything is and how you feel to begin with. And then as you start feeling a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed, the breath feels a little bit more settled, a little bit more relaxed, and then focusing on the head, focusing on the neck. I'm going to start turning the head from side to side, just a little bit of mobility for the cervical spine. So I'm going to turn to look over the right shoulder, is back to the center, and then turn to look over that left. And then coming back and over the right again. So keeping the movement going as usual with the corner of the eye, especially if you're seated, check that you're not taking the shoulder back with you. The shoulder is staying, the head is moving on top. Compare right and left side. Is the range the same? Does one side feels a bit stiffer than the other? Do I feel as if I need to put a little bit more effort when I turn to the left or when I turn to the right? And then as you start feeling the movement is a little bit easier, feels a little bit smoother, then we're going to see if we can add a little bit more. So the next one, I'm going to turn to look over the right shoulder, and then keeping the head there, I'm just going to knock the chin down towards the chest. So imagine to be bringing, I don't know, your nose to your shoulder or your chin to your collarbone. So I'm going to tuck it down slightly. Then I'm going to ease back. I'm going to turn to look over the left shoulder. I'm going to try and drop the nose down to the shoulder. Ease back. And then turning the head back to the middle. So it's noticing a little bit more stretch coming around to the side, the back of the neck as I tap the chin, as I drop the nose. Easing back and then turning to look around the other way. Two more times. So turning to the right. Dropping the nose. Coming back. Turning to the left. Dropping. And then back. Returning the head back to the middle, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, a little bit more movement into the neck. I'm going to change the direction of that movement. I'm going to start going into a little flexion. So this time, think of tucking the chin down towards the chest. So imagine it possible to be bringing the nose down to your breastbone. So as if I was trying to comb my head onto my chest. So I'm going to let the head come forward, and then I'm going to bring it back up again. If you're laying down, you might want to support to the weight of the head. So using the hands behind the head, I'm going to use my arms to help me carry the head up into that lift. creating that gentle stretch into the back of the neck. So I'm not straining the neck about lifting the weight of the head on its own. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. And releasing down, giving the head a gentle roll, making sure that the neck doesn't feel stiff, it doesn't feel tight. And then from flexion, we're going to go into a little extension. So if you're down on the floor, think of your skull rockers. So think of pressing the chin this time into the back of your throat. So I'm going to try and lengthen through the back of the neck. And then I'm going to start lifting the chin up and away from the mat. And then again, I'm going to push down and then lift it up. If you're seated, see if you can use your hands to support the neck. So I'm going to interlock the fingers and then wrap them around the neck. So I want you to be wearing one of those neck collars when you get a whiplash, a little bump in the car. I'm going to put a little traction through the neck, and then I'm going to try and look up, and then I'm going to come back down. So think of lengthening through. So I'm not letting the head drop and the neck squash and compress. I'm going to try and keep the length at the back as much as I can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing the shoulders, releasing the neck, and then changing the direction one last time. I'm going to go for a little lateral flexion. So bringing the right ear down to the right shoulder, I'm going to drop the head to the right, then easing it back to the center, and then I'm going to move over to the left. Keeping the nose pointing straight forward, straight ahead, so the head is not turning. It's just a drop into the side, making sure that it's your ear that is coming down to your shoulder, not your shoulder that is shrugging up to your ear. So I can feel a nice stretch, starts from the back of my ear, comes down the side of the neck, all the way to the top of the shoulder. I'm not forcing anything. Just see if I can keep it loose. And then if I feel the movement, it feels comfortable enough, I want to add just a little bit more traction, a little bit more stretch, then I'm going to add a little pull with the arm. So as the right ear drops down to the right shoulder, with the left arm, I'm going to reach down and away. Then easing back, as the left ear drops down to the left shoulder, with the right arm, I'm going to reach down and away. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the head, bring the head back to the middle, adjusting the shoulders if you need to. Neck feels a little bit looser. I'm going to start focusing on the shoulder girdle and upper back. I start shrugging the shoulders up to the head and then pressing them down and away. So I'm going to elevate them and depress them. Elevate and depress. Picturing the shoulder blades are sliding up and down the back of the rib cage. Especially as you depress the shoulders, as you press them down, as usual. See if you can find the right position for the shoulder so that you can feel a balanced tension between the front and the back. of the body. So it doesn't feel as if my shoulders are so far forward that I can feel the pull just on my chest. It doesn't feel as if my shoulders are so far back that I can just feel it at the back of my shoulders. So see if I can try and balance the tension between the front and the back. So the shoulder blade is, the shoulder joint is gliding right in the middle. 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing into the shoulders, changing the direction of the movement, going into a little protraction, retraction. I'm going to pull the shoulders forward. So if you can bring the shoulders around to the front and together, and then retracting, I'm going to squeeze them back. So protracting, pulling them forward, retracting, taking them back. So creating a nice space at the back as I protract, and a nice stretch across the front as I retract, making sure that the shoulders are staying down. So I'm not creating tension back into the neck as I've just released the neck. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders again, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the rib cage, and then see if we can start getting some movement into the shoulder joint. Bending the elbows, tucking the elbows into the side of the waist, turning the palms of the face towards you as if you were holding a book, reading a book. And then I'm going to start opening out into the downward. So I'm going to rotate the arms out and then rotate them back. Keep the elbows tucked into the side of the body. See if you can picture the top of the arm twisting into the shoulder socket. So I'm going to try and turn it out and then bring it back. If you're lying down, your arms can't really push behind, as I've got the floor underneath, so I can't push them behind. So the rotation should be a true rotation. If I'm seated, I don't have anything behind, so it's very tempting to kind of like swing the arm instead of rotate it. So see if you can think of a nice turning. So I want the top of the arm to turn out into the shoulder socket and then come back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. From external rotation going into a little internal rotation, I'm going to work one arm at a time. So I'm going to turn the right arm in, and then I'm just going to reach it behind the back. Then I'm going to release, turn the left in, and then reach it behind the back. If you're lying down, you need to make space. So almost as if I was trying to roll on my side, I'm going to turn the arm, reach back, release, turn the arm, reach back the other way. If the shoulder allows me to, if you're lying down, it's a bit harder as you don't have much space. But if you're seated, you can do that. If the arm allows me to, if the shoulder allows me to, then see if you can progressively picture the hand reaching a little bit further up the back. Just make sure that the elbow is still down. So I'm not trying to hitch my shoulder up. I'm just trying to wrap the arm around the back. Then ease that, and then I'm going to try the same thing the other side. One side is better than the other. Left side, I don't have any problem. The right side feels a bit stiffer. I need a little bit more time to set the arm. But however small the movement is, I'm not forcing it. So there is no pain in the shoulder as the arm is moving. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms, and then I'm going to try and create a little bit of a stretch behind the shoulder and a little movement into the back. So I'm going to cross to the right arm. The right arm is going to go under the armpit, and the left hand is going to go over the shoulder. I'm going to give myself a nice tight hug, so tight that I can already feel my upper back opening up, stretching away. And then from there, I'm just going to start turning the body over to the right. Easing my way back to the middle, and then rotating to the left. So feeling a little bit more stretch across the middle of the back. If you're seated, see if you can keep that nice upright seated position. If you're lying down, think of the hips are keeping still as just the upper body that is turning from side to side. And then once that I'm happy that the rotation feels a little bit easier, a little bit looser, then I'm going to start moving the head too. As the body rotates to the right, with the head I'm going to turn to the left. As the body rotates to the left, with the head I'm going to turn to the right. So going in opposite direction, picturing the all of the spine kind of like spiraling out. So trying to create movement all the way through from the top, all the way down to the bottom. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, releasing the arms, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, and then switching the arms the other way. The left goes under the right armpit, the right goes over the right shoulder. I'm going to give myself the nice tight hug, shoulders down, and then I'm just going to get the rotation going. Same as before, to begin with, I'm going to follow the shoulders around, turning from side to side. And then again, as I feel a little bit more comfortable with the movement, I'm going to turn the head the opposite way. So the shoulders go right and the head turns left. The shoulders go left and the head turns right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back, releasing the arms, releasing the shoulders. Just a little bit more movement across the back. See if we can now create a little bit more space across the front of the chest. If you're seated, keeping the arms low. If you're lying down, we're going to take the arms a little bit higher, a little bit further. So if I'm seated, I've got space behind, so I can keep the arms quite low. I'm going to swing them out as wide as I can, pushing the chest forward and up, and see if I can try and create a nice lift across the top of the chest, a nice stretch across the front of the chest. Then I'm going to release, and then I'm going to try again. So I'm going to open up and lift, and then ease back. If I'm laying down, I'm going to encourage the arms to swing slightly behind so that I can open up just a little bit more, even though I can't go very far because of the floor underneath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one, we're going to hold that opening. 10, going as lifted as you possibly can through the top of the chest, as wide as you can with the arms. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Returning the arms back by the side, relaxing the shoulders, adjusting the shoulders and the rib cage, and then focusing down into the lower back a little bit more, and the hips and the legs. Starting off with a little pelvic tilt. I'm going to tilt the pelvis back, pressing the lower back flat against the mat, and then I'm going to rock it back into neutral. So tilting and then releasing that tilt. Tilting and releasing that tilt. As if I was trying to massage the back of the hips and the lower back with that gentle posterior and anterior tilt of the pelvis. If you're seated, see if you can be aware this time of the movement coming from the bottom of the spine, not the top. So the top stays the same, it's just the bottom that changes. So I'm going to try and rock back onto the tailbone and then lift up nice and tall over the seat bones. Down onto the tailbone and then up onto the seat bones, creating that little, almost like the little hollowing at the front. So I'm going to draw the belly in, see if I can encourage that roundness into the lower back, and then I'm going to bring myself back into neutral again. So tilting and releasing the tilt, as if I was trying to curl my tailbone underneath the hips, lifting the pubic bone up and towards the breastbone, and then releasing everything back down again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing back to the center, and then I'm going to try and go into a little hip hitch. So pulling up onto the right hip, think of the right hip touching the side of the rib cage. I'm going to hitch up on the right, ease down, and then hitch up on the left. So same as usual, if I'm seated, it's almost as if I was trying to walk my seat bones up and down on the chair. If you're lying down, the back of the pelvis is keeping nice and flat against the floor. Imagine your hips are to be moving like a little pendulum, swinging from side to side. So feeling that right side of the belly pulling up onto the right side of the hip, the left side of the belly pulling up on the left side. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, adjusting the hips, adjusting the back, lower back hopefully feels a little bit looser, a little bit more relaxed, so see if we can focus on the hip joint. What I want is to try and relax into the hip joint itself, so I'm going to go into circles. So I'm going to use the band, use the strap around the right leg. If you feel that you need a little support, I'm going to lift the foot off the ground if I'm lying down. So bring the thigh up above the hip. Imagine the leg to be dropping into the hip socket. So really try to relax into the joint. And then I'm just going to start circling the leg around. So feeling the head of the femur, the top of the leg, just to ease in its way round and round into the hip socket. So nice and smooth, and nothing is grinding, nothing is pinching, nothing is catching. If you're seated, using the band to help you carry the leg around, to help you guide the leg around if you need to. You can use your hands around the leg, whatever is easier. See if you can try and create a nice and smooth circular movement. It doesn't need to be a precise circle, it could be a little bit more of an oval. You might find that my foot doesn't lift off the ground. It doesn't need to. Just imagine to be massaging the inside of the pelvis with that nice, easy, rolling movement. Reversing the circles, going the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing the leg, relaxing the hip. Same thing with the left side. So if I need a little support, I'm going to place the band around the left leg. And then once the leg is set, I'm just going to guide it around into that little circle. So same as you did on the right side. I'm not forcing, just to see if I can keep it smooth, see if I can keep it relaxed. So I'm going to use my hands so that the hip can relax a little bit more. And again, I'm allowing that gentle massage right into the hip socket around the side of the back of the pelvis. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reversing the circle, going the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, relaxing the hip. Hip feels a little bit looser, a little bit more, a little bit warmer, a little bit more relaxed. Let's see if we can start combining, coordinating the arms and the legs together. So I'm going to allow the shoulders to drop down and away from the head. Think of a nice long neck. Imagine a string that goes from your right hand to the right leg, from your left hand to the left leg. I'm going to try and puppet the legs with using my arms. So I'm going to start pulling the string with my right arm. I want the right leg to follow up. And then I'm just going to ease down. Then I'm going to pull the string with my left arm. I want the leg to follow up and then come down. Same as usual, the leg might actually be able to physically lift off the ground. I might find that I'll struggle. I can't get the foot off the floor. It doesn't matter. Just to see if you can picture that thigh bone moving up towards the chest, and the hip joint closing to allow you that lift. Little lift with the arm, making sure that the shoulder is not stiffening. I'm not taking tension into the side of the neck, into the head, into the face. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, allowing yourself a little rest. And now imagine to be crossing the strings over. So from the right hand to the left leg, from the left hand to the right leg. So as my right arm goes up, it's my left leg that follows up and then down. As my left arm goes up, it's my right leg that lifts and then down. And then you might find that one combination works better than the other. So if I lift across, it seems to be working. If I lift the same side, it feels harder, or vice versa. If I lift the same side, that felt easier. Now that I'm crossing, it feels a bit harder. I'm going to, again, focus the tension, the intention into the front of the hip. See if I can picture the hip closing as the leg goes up, releasing. Picture the other hip closing as the other leg comes out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, relaxing the hips, so releasing the legs, and then I'm going to change the direction of the movement. So instead of going up and down, this time I'm going to go side to side. So again, imagine the string back, right hand, right leg, left hand, left leg. This time with the right hand, I'm going to pull out to the side. I want my right leg to follow me out. And then I'm going to close back to center. Then with the left hand, I'm going to pull out. With the leg, I'm going to follow out. And then back to center. So this time, imagine to be pushing the side of your thigh out. So I'm trying to move my right leg away from my left, come back, and then move my left leg away from my right, and then come back. If you're seated, the hips should be fairly stable as you're sitting on them, so they don't slide, they don't move. If you're lying down, check that when you're opening the leg and the arm together, the hips are staying on the floor, you're not suddenly twisting to the right. So making sure that the opposite butt cheek stays on the mat, that stays on the floor. So I'm going to open up with the right, squeeze my way back to the center, open up with the left, squeeze my way back to the center again. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release, allowing the hips and the shoulders a little rest, and then I'm going to switch the arm and the leg. So this time what I want is for my right arm and my left leg to open away from each other's, my left arm and my right leg to open away from each other's. So I'm going to raise the arms to the front, and then as the right arm opens to the right, with my left leg I'm going to open to the left. Then I'm going to bring everything back to the center, and then I'm going to open up the other way. Back to the center, and then over to the other side. So imagine this time to have a stretchy band that connects your hand and opposite leg. I'm going to stretch it out and away, and then I'm just going to let it recoil back. I'm going to stretch it out and away, and then let it recoil back. So opposite sides, moving away, and then coming back. Moving away, and then coming back. Using the other hand, the hand that is not moving, to guide the leg if I need to. It feels a bit stiff, it feels a bit tight, so I'm going to use that hand to help me open, and then close the leg back in place. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Relaxing the hips, so releasing the legs. It's a little bit more movement into the hip joint. I'm going to change the direction one more time. Stepping the feet, if you're seated, step the feet just a little bit closer to the chair. I'm going to ease my way forward, and then I'm going to squeeze my way up as if I was trying to stand off the chair. So weight goes forward into the legs, squeeze with the back of the hips, back of the bum, as if I was trying to stand. And then I'm just going to let myself fall back into the chair. So I'm going to stand and then ease back into the chair. If you're lying down, we're going to go up into bridge. So feet and knees about hips width apart. I'm going to push down into the soles of the feet to squeeze with the back of the hips, driving the hips up into extension. And then I'm going to ease my way back. Squeezing up. And then take it down. Making sure that the movement is not causing pain on the knees or the back, so keeping it small, making it big if you can. And then same as we did for the opening and closing for the lifting and lowering, see if we can coordinate the legs with the arms. So as my hips go up, I'm going to swing my arms up 2. and then I'm going to ease down. So if you're seated, think of using the arms to help you come up. I'm going to try and swing, and then I'm just going to let myself fall. Swing, and then let fall. See if I can actually use a little swing with the arms to help me create a little bit more of a lift, and then dropping back. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing down, relaxing the hips and releasing the legs, giving the legs a little walk, a little shake, and then we're going to give it a little stretch. So if you're seated, allow the feet to move away from each other as much as possible. So with the hands on the inside of the knees, I'm going to try and push the knees out as far as I can. So see if I can get a nice stretch going through the inner thigh, the hip and the groin. If you're seated, I'm going to keep my feet close together, and then allowing the soles of the feet to come together, let the knees open out to the side. And then in this position, I can just let gravity pull my legs down. So I don't need to use my hands to open as naturally. Gravity will pull me down that way. Just make sure that as you're opening out, whether you're seated or lying down, nothing is pinching into the hip. If there is pinching into the hip, if I'm laying down, I'm going to clench the fist and then just wedge it under the leg. So I can still open up the leg, but without reaching the end range that is causing the pinching. If I'm seated, I'm just going to ease the pressure with the hands slightly, making sure that it's not causing pain in the hip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Easing the legs all the way back to the middle, and then see if I can stretch down the side of the leg. So if I'm seated, I've got 2 options. I can pull both legs across to the side, or I can cross one leg over, and then I'm just going to pull, trying to get the stretch into the side of the hip. If you're lying down, I'm going to lift one leg up. I'm going to pull it across the front, making sure that the bum stays close to the floor. See if I can get the stretch coming down the side of the hip and the side of the leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing back, dropping the foot, switching side. The other leg comes up. I'm going to pull it across until I can feel the stretch. And then if I'm seated, I'm either going to pull both legs across that midline, or cross one over, and then pull. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Easing the legs back to the middle, adjusting the hips. If you're lying down, rolling over onto your side, and then slowly pushing yourself up into sitting. Finding your comfortable position, leaning against sofa wall, something steady that is not going to slide away, using the hands around the side, around the back to give support. And then same as we did at the beginning, see if we can find the space at the front of the body. But this time, I'm going to exaggerate that space. So I'm going to try and go as big as long at the front as I possibly can. So when you're ready, I'm going to start pushing the chest forward. I'm going to start lifting the breastbone up, drop the shoulders down. I'm going to look forward. I'm going to look up. I'm going to look back. And then I'm going to release, letting the chin drop down. The shoulders come forward. I'm going to roll my way down and towards the floor, towards the legs. And then coming back again. Extending up, pushing the chest forward, letting the shoulders drop down at the back, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then easing your way forward again, rounding the shoulders, coming forward towards the legs. Last time. Coming up, opening up at the front, lifting the chest as high as you can, looking looking back. And then easing all the way back to the front. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow. Give yourself a couple. Any question or anything as usual, please say. Remember, you need to unmute yourself first.